Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Zen, and we're back at it again, man. Hey, and today, this one's for the Longsword bros, dog. Hey, bro, we got a savior, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. We have our knight in samurai armor, bro. Our Thor with the hammer, bro. Our Hulk buster, our Longsword guardian, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Hey, I'm too excited about reacting to this video, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. You guys are really gonna enjoy this one. So even if you have problems with the Longsword, like you have legit beef with it, or if you're a Longsword enthusiast, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, I believe that this video will be intriguing to like both parties. It has some very interesting arguments, some very interesting points that I think is absolutely amazing, bro. And what better way to sit down and have a Thanksgiving meal, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, you know what I mean, than some, you know, healthy Monster Hunter debate, you know what I mean? So anyway, man, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys who celebrate it and all who don't. Hey, man, happy Thursday. But nonetheless, bro, I hope you guys like this content. But if you do like this content, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to your boy. I'll also stream on Twitch. Guys, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers on Twitch, bro. I think like maybe 3 or 4. So if you haven't hit that button, bro, hit it for your boy so we can be 1K across the board, baby. I love it. I love it, man. I appreciate all you guys' support. But anyway, let's on to the video, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, stay zen. All right, guys. Hey, man, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this thing, man. I'm so excited about this, bro. I'm just, bro, like this one right here, I'm glad somebody's coming to our defense. So let's just go ahead and dive into it and see what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And let's run it. So first off, guys, please hear me now. Find this dude, Get Crunked is his name right here. Hit this man a follow. If you're a Longsword man, follow this man. Give him a sub. Give him everything, bro. Because this dude, he is our savior. 100%, bro. I'm too excited. So anyway, without further ado, let's dive into it.
Boy, I sure do love Monster Hunter. In fact, the only thing I love more than Monster Hunter is complaining about the fucking thing. Longsword. This is the most broken weapon in the game. I can't believe Capcom let this thing exist. Did they even play test the damn thing? What were they thinking? You know, back in my day, the Longsword never used to be like this. It was actually a pretty simple weapon. It was mostly just managing a gauge with a simple but intuitive moveset. Every new iteration would usually expand on this premise a bit, like letting it Fate Slash left or right instead of just behind, or letting you follow up with a Spirit combo after a Fate Slash. At the same time, though, a lot of other weapons were gradually introduced in the series that had similar mechanics to the Longsword. It sounded like the other pre-existing weapons weren't developing too. By 4 Ultimate, pretty much every weapon had grown into their own niches. Dual Blades was the fast, hyper-aggressive weapon. Greatsword and Hammer had their own flavors of hit-and-run tactics. Glaive was the mounting weapon. SNES was a Swiss Army knife. Switch Axe and Charge Blade had the whole weapon morphing thing going on. Hunting Horn had support. Lance was defensive. Gun Lance sucked my cock. But Longsword was in this weird spot where it didn't really have a strong niche. It was just kind of a beat stick. It didn't help that so many other weapons had similar mechanics to the Longsword too. Switch Axe had a meter, Gun Lance had a meter, Insect Glaive had a meter, fucking Dual Blades had a meter. Some of these weapons got whole new movesets for managing their meters too. All Longsword got was a linear combo and a damage boost. It wasn't bad or anything, but it definitely started to feel a lot more bland compared to everything else. Fate Slashing feels like chump shit when there's a billion other moves that functionally do.
I'm gonna pause right here, bro. He has a point, dude. Like literally, like every other weapon had their own niche. Cause like even going back and playing a little bit of like GU and everything, cause I've been dabbling, bro. And even from the speed runs that I saw, Longsword felt so bland. Like, was it just me? It definitely felt bland, and it didn't feel like it had a gimmick. It felt like everything had a gauge, so gauge wasn't a gimmick. So what was it? Like, what was it? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with him on this? I don't know, bro, but he's got a point.
Do the same thing. In Double
I'm not
Cross,
biased
they had the idea
anything,
of giving Longsword a counter in Valor mode, and they gave it this cool-ass hunter art that makes my penis hard every time I go off a tail with this thing. I guess Capcom really liked this direction, because when World came out, they gave the Longsword a huge glow-up. It got Foresight Slash, which drained all your mirror to use, but gave it all back if you timed it right and landed the counterattack. You could also use it to level up your gauge quicker too. It got a special sheath that came with new follow-ups, including another counter that leveled your gauge down if you mistimed it, but had the potential to deal some decent damage if you timed it correctly. It also got the Helm Breaker.
I'ma say it. Longsword world, best longsword.
The cool thing about all this though, is that all of these were additions to the kit hand for you. You could still run around and play it like it was in the older games, but there was this new skill ceiling with the weapon that rewarded more patient and reactive play, while maintaining your standard attack flow. For the first time in like 6 games, the longsword finally found a niche as the counter weapon. And people fucking hated it. What the fuck is this shit? I can dodge through stuff now and do this risk-reward bullshit? Why did they do this? It's overpowered. Counters are literally overpowered. Except for when the lance does it. It's okay, because the lance sucks. What other weapon in the game can just sit there and be untouchable while dishing out truckloads of damage? What the fuck is that?
Bro, I'm saying!
Get that shit out of here. Jesus Christ.
Dude.
Speaking of damage, have you seen the damage on this thing? Look at it. Look at the damage. Here, just to prove a point, let's pull up speedrun averages, just to show you how much more efficient this thing is at killing stuff compared to your weapon. Alright, in surprise of absolutely nobody, Longsword ranks at, oh my god, it's me.
Right, even I didn't know that. We were number 11 in the world?
Fuck me, it's barely ahead of my main. That's not good. I thought this thing was supposed to be overpowered.
Bro, I didn't know we were number 11.
Foresight Slash has a lot of iframes, but still drains your whole meter just to use it. And if you miss that follow-up attack...
Alright, chat, I'm sorry for pausing. Bro, what the fuck? We were number 11? Dude. Like, bro, you would think as much hate as Longsword get, we would be on number fucking 11. I honestly thought we were like 6 or 5. That's what I thought. And like, that's just me off the top of my head. Like... Bro, that's wild, bro. That's wild. That's crazy. Hey, Chad, look, I don't know. See, this is kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, we're number 9. We're number 9 and we're getting this much hate. That's 14 weapons. We're in 9th place. Why are we even in the conversation right now? Why? That's crazy. I didn't even know that much. Honestly, I thought we were like 6 or 5. That's what I thought. Crazy.
You're stuck pissing in the woods until you can get some of it back. It can also get caught by follow-up attacks, and using it against projectiles usually means you're out of range for the counterattack.
Yep.
In situations like these, I'd rather have a shield and just hold down R2. As flashy and cool as the Helm Breaker is, it's also a big investment to use and a big commitment to perform, so it's not like you can spam the thing. If anything, it's one of the healthiest additions to the Longsword's kit, since it gives the players the option to spend their meter on high burst damage or maintaining it for the attack boost. EI Spirit Slash is cool as hell to pull off, but punishes you so hard for missing it that deters a lot of people from using it. It's a lot safer to cash that meter in on a Helm Breaker than risking it all on a botched counter. Hell, even if you pull it off correctly, there's a chance you end up whiffing anyway if you're countering a moving target. And regardless of whether or not you pull it off correctly, the move still has massive end lag that leaves you wide open to follow-up attacks. Wait, what am I saying? I'm supposed to hate this weapon. It's overpowered. It has to be. Reddit told me so.
Reddit told me so.
Because see, I finally figured it out. When people say Longsword is overpowered, they're not talking about World. They're talking about Rise. And everybody knows Rise sucks.
Rise is kind of wild.
Because people keep making YouTube videos pitting the two games against each other, despite the fact that both games have very different goals, technical limitations, and design philosophies. World good, Rise bad. Longsword got 2 major buffs in Rise. Quick Sheath was changed so you could enter the special sheath much faster than before. And DI Spirit Slash was reworked so that you wouldn't lose gauge if you mistimed it. You would also gain a level of gauge if you timed the counter properly and hit the monster with the counter attack. And you could also chain multiple special sheaths together back to back after performing successful counters. And with that, Longsword became the bestest, most broken weapon in the game. Nothing could compete with the amount of damage this thing could dish out. Just look at this graph. See? It's the best. It was so good that YouTubers were able to beat Apex Rathian with it.
Now, Uncle Zen said,
No,
I
not
want to see all these YouTubers that claim the Longsword to be broken doing emergency quests with Longsword and absolutely the...
Hey, TLDR, this is not me.
Coincidence? I think not.
Okay, I'm not Uncle Zen. Okay, it's not me. I swear, it's not me.
This little rat is guilty.
I am a YouTuber. Why would I say this? But that's kind of, it's not ironic though that I'm in this video. Like, you know what I mean? Yo, hey, it's okay, Uncle Zen. We know. Bro, is it my cousin? My uncle? Yikes.
Destroying the monsters. This longsword arguments have become too stupid. Now, before we go any further into this video,
It's
I want to
wild
make
as
one
Uncle
thing
Zen
perfectly
says that.
clear. If you try to find Uncle Zen in my comment section and start posting nasty stuff at him, most likely I'm going to ban you from the channel.
Somebody get this spook out of my motherfucking check.
Hey?
The legend come to life. Clearly, the longsword and its counters are the most broken tools in the game. Forget the fact that the SNS has a wire bug move that gives you invincibility frames throughout almost the entirety of its long animation.
Wait,
as well as
Sword
a
and Shield
backup
can
that
go through
also
that?
has a lot of iframes that can also be performed from neutral and gives you 4 different options to follow up with. One of which being the SNS's highest burst damage combo that it can cancel out of midway through. That was also in World, by the way.
Facts.
Forget the fact that the Lance also has 3 different counters, one of which allows you to chain parry literally any attack in the game, including multi-hits, and another giving your weapon a damage buff on top of a strong counterattack. Gee, where have I heard this before? Forget the fact that Heavy Boken has so much control over the monster with status and sticky ammos that combined with its insane DPS, can gun down a monster before it has the chance to pull off a single attack. But guns don't exist in Monster Hunter, so it doesn't count. Clearly, the longsword is the problem here. In fact, it was such a problem that Capcom nerfed it in Sunbreak because people wouldn't shut the fuck up about the thing. Now, if you want your risk-reward counters to
Longsword
actually
was
do decent
terrible.
damage, you have to play inside the stupid circle. But that didn't stop people. The circle only served to make them stronger in the long run. And the longsword once again found itself sitting alone atop of the peak.
Bro, but that
Just to
circle
prove
came
it,
with a whole lot of
watch me
shit,
blitz
though.
this dog.
Like, he's going ham, but that circle, bro, it took a lot of, bro. It was cool, don't get me wrong. And on top of that, if you knew what you were doing, it was OP. But man, keeping that monster inside the circle was hell, bro. God, dude. And in the multiplayer, you're playing with so many people, dude. Like, and so there are monsters running around left and right. You can't even get the circle down. Like, bro, that circle was it was a
Fuck yeah, that's what gets
Two-edged
me
sword, bro.
bumping. Hope you're done counting your
Catch-22.
blessings, Mazino, because you're next on my shit list.
Yeah, I don't care what nobody say. Okay, Rise was all right. We can agree. A Rise, base Rise, is really easy. But Sunbreak, Risen, Shag, Primordial, them was hard, bro. I ain't saying they Fatalis hard. They were hard. They had some spice too. They weren't far behind Fatalis in the last round, to me. I feel like if you gave us world moves and we fighting these motherfuckers, bro.
You know, despite counters supposedly being completely broken, it's really hard to consistently abuse them like this. You need to be good at piloting the weapon along with having a really good understanding of the monster matchup. Knowledge like which counters are appropriate against which attacks, where to position yourself, and how to follow up afterwards. Which at that point, I think it's fair to say that players should be rewarded for learning and applying that knowledge. People always complained about the damage Longsword used to do in base Rise, but there was so much memorization and execution practice required to actually draw that power out consistently. And even then, the weapon's performance would change drastically depending on the matchup. Monsters can still catch you with multi-hits, and you'll have to be good at managing your wire bugs in order to negate those with stuff like Serene Pose. The same wire bugs you'll need to maintain your circle and use your Helm Breaker. All of this also depends on whether or not the monster decides to cooperate with you. Sometimes the monster just won't perform the attack you want. Sometimes a stupid fuck monster won't get inside the stupid fucking circle.
Yes.
It's one of the major drawbacks of focusing on a purely reactive playstyle. A lot of people think EI Spirit Slash doesn't punish you enough for missing it, but it isn't really out of line with how other counters behave. Failing an insta-block still has you block the attack. Metsu Shoryugeki still performs the uppercut with less damage. With failing an EI Spirit Slash, at best you counter too early and deal a pittance of damage while you're left wide open after ruining your positioning. At worst, you counter too late and get face-fucked by the monster. These are punishing enough as is. It doesn't need more salt in the wound like how World handled it, where the punishment actively deterred you from using the move at all. Leveling up your gauge from successful counters is supposed to be an incentive to engage with and...
I will say this though. I'm gonna pause it. In World, I see a lot less people doing EI slashes than I do in Rise. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons, you know what I mean? But I will say that I did notice that because when I went to Rise and I would like switch back and forth to World, I would notice that a lot. People in Rise, they be chilling. Everybody sheathing up, EI stanced. But World, bro, I don't see a lot of people doing it. I see the foresight being used, but not the EI slash. Like, it's not really used a lot, you know what I mean? Which, I mean, I do like the high risk, high reward type transaction. I do understand what he's saying in there. I still think that the loss of gauge is still a good thing. And I say that because I feel like it should be exactly what it is. It should be high risk, high reward. And he was right. Like, for me personally, it took me almost a year and a half before I even started like speed running, bro. Like, I had to like really understand the weapon, like for real. And I know, granted, now it's a little bit easier, but I mean, I came up during the days of Jin and Tuna. If you know, you know. Those are the only people really pushing out content about how to play that weapon. Them and like Gaijin Hunter. Those are the only guys I could find. You know what I mean? And they were like breaking down mathematical equations, and I'm like, bro, I'm from Call of Duty. What the fuck is this? Bro, I was not on that level at all, but it was interesting. You know what I mean? It took a lot. It took a lot to learn Longsword. For me, I felt, before I even jumped in the community and understood how everybody felt about it, I thought like Longsword was so difficult and was so rewarding for the amount of hours that I put in. Bro, I know I have over 15,000 hours just in World alone. 100%. Like, because I played Monster Hunter nonstop, like before I started speedrunning. So like I already had, a couple thousand hours, bro, like going heavy into the game. You know what I mean? I was solid good 4 or 5 just casually alone. Thousands, like not even kidding. I played it every single day. And then we had COVID come in and hit, bro. Come on, dude. Like, yeah, man, yeah. I would literally stay up every night with my friends and we would deco grind. But anyway, here's the point.
Get better with the mechanic by feeding into one of the Longsword's core gameplay elements. This isn't any different from counters like Anchor Rage on the Lance, Counter Peak Performance on the Charge Blade, and Elemental Burst counter on the Switch Axe. But hey, that's all bullshit anyways. Just because something's hard to play well doesn't mean it's not broken. The fact is that the Longsword still does too much damage. Here, I'll prove it. Some guy made a DPS tier list based on over 4,000 speedruns that proves everything I'm saying. This is nice. After all, everybody knows that the best part of the Monster Hunter experience is watching other people do math for you. Oh shit, it's done. Let's take a look-see. Look how shitty the lance is. How embarrassing. I can't imagine sinking much lower than... Oh my god.
Yo, we were beneath the lance?
But I don't get it. How is it this low? Even with all the counters, all the favoritism from Capcom, it's still this low? I gotta jump through all these hoops with the switch skills and the scrolls and playing the fucking circle, and you're telling me this shit is still mid? But I go on the internet, and the internet tells me it's broken, it's overpowered. But when I play the video game and I fight Primordial Malzeno with a longsword, he beats my ass with it, like he's my dad or something. But it's supposed to be overpowered. YouTube said it was overpowered, and YouTube wouldn't lie to me. Oh fuck. But then I watched that one YouTuber play the longsword and he sucks at it. He can't even counter a Rathian with it, let alone a Primordial Malzeno. I do that fight with my Insect Glaive and that shit don't got a good counter. But I have an easier time beating it with that than beating it with the longsword. But wait, that can't be right because the Glaive sucks. It's worse than the Lance. And everybody knows how terrible the Lance is. Wait, no. Maybe there's something wrong with the data. Yeah, that must be it. After all, there aren't enough people playing every weapon to give us a good estimate of accurate speedrun time. You can't prepare a weapon and can't even follow up with nobody actually has weapons. They're not real. All we got to do is convert most of the How did we get here?
Bro, that's a nice edit. Bro, this dude is fire. Hands down fire. Not the Tiger eggs, bro. Not the Tiger eggs.
It's hard to say where the bandwagon against the longsword really started. For some people, it has roots back from the older games due to the weapon tripping everybody in multiplayer. Some people think it has something to do with popularity polls and usage rates, like it's some objective statement about the viability of a weapon. Some of it might be jealousy that the longsword looks visually flashier than the other weapons, or that Capcom appears to favor it over other weapons, despite other weapons getting just as many if not more additions to their kits. How or where the hate started doesn't really matter to me. What I think is more important is how it's continued to perpetuate for this long. And for that, I think I might have an answer. Most Monster Hunter players are ignorant. And I'm not saying that to be mean, it's just a natural consequence of having 14 different weapon choices. Most people only actively play 1 or 2 weapons. If you're lucky, you might even dabble in the 3rd. Because of this, most people are unaware of the nuances and execution that most other weapons have. They don't know much outside of watching a YouTube video explaining the very basics of how they conceptually play out against a training dummy. This is completely normal and isn't really a big issue in and of itself, but it becomes an issue when people decide they want to start talking about game balance. Game balance is a tricky beast, and it's probably impossible for a game like Monster Hunter to be perfectly balanced across all 14 weapons. But that doesn't stop Capcom from trying. They're actually pretty receptive to feedback, as we saw in the changes from Rise to Sunbreak, like adjusting the Charge Blade file hitboxes and making Instablock easier to use, but it's also a double-edged sword in some ways. Based on weapon usage rates from World and Rise, Longsword typically hovers around a usage rate of around 20%, with the only exception being base game Rise, in which it was disproportionately large. This could be due to a bunch of different factors, like the Longsword being the default weapon you start the game with. Nobody can say exactly why the data looks the way it does, because Capcom has never really elaborated on this data in much detail. Most people see the usage rates and interpret that Longsword is the most popular weapon in Monster Hunter, and they'd be right. However, another way of interpreting this data is that about 80% of weapon usage comes from weapons that aren't the longsword. That is to say that despite the longsword being the most popular weapon choice, the majority of players don't actively play the longsword, and this is where that ignorance comes into play. Most of the criticism I see towards the longsword come from people who don't play the weapon. A lot of people arguing that the longsword's counters are broken are the same people who try the weapon out, miss 80% of their counters, and then argue about how broken counters are because of the 20% they did manage to land.
Yes, bro.
A lot of people
that's
are
true.
unaware that the other weapons have similar mechanics and utilities to the ones that the longsword has, some of which are arguably better than what the longsword is capable of. A lot of people will cite speedrun statistics or somebody else's speedrun video as proof something is overpowered, while also never experiencing the absolute hell that comes with the learning and practice required to perform at that level. At the same time, people will hand-wave away an entire weapon's existence when the speedrun data shows that the longsword gets consistently outperformed by the same 3 weapons over and over again, because it conflicts with their false narrative that the longsword is somehow the strongest weapon in the game.
It is currently the strongest weapon in Monster Hunter Rise. As we have established, Longsword is only the strongest weapon in Rise, and even then ranged weapons outclass it.
And I already know what you're about to say. Oh, it's because they're ranged weapons. They play too differently compared to everything else. Motherfuckers, so does every single Blade Master weapon. Every weapon in these games feel, play, and function differently from one another. It's not just the gunner weapons. Rurikon, one of the biggest Monster Hunter channels on the platform, and one of the most vocal critics of the longsword, by his own admission, doesn't really play or care about the longsword.
Now, notice that we are in yellow, so we're going to be doing a foresight slash. We messed it up. Have to be a little bit closer. Foresight slash requires quite a bit of practice. which I don't tend to do because, as you guys know, I don't play a whole lot of Longsword. I don't care.
Imagine if I had never played the Charge Blade before, and I screamed to the high heavens that Charge Blade was too overpowered because counter peak performance gave it too much utility, defense, and damage opportunity for one wire bug. I complain about this day and night until finally Capcom ends up nerfing the entire weapon because of my complaints, despite never touching the weapon. How absurd would that be? Not as absurd as you might think, because that's what happened with the Longsword and Sunbreak. People who don't play the weapon, people who have no investment in the weapon, people who proclaim that a weapon is the best in the game when they don't even know what half the other weapons are even capable of, people who struggle to even tap into the aspects that supposedly make the weapon broken in the first place, bitched and complained loud enough and persistently enough until Capcom finally felt strong-armed into nerfing the entire weapon. There's so many people in this community who suddenly fancy themselves as game designers, yet most of them don't seem to understand a concept as simple as risk and reward. So let me explain it to you. In a game where bosses are easily able to chunk 40% to 80% to all of your health, if I'm going to risk my health on reacting to one of the monster's myriad of attacks with a timed, precise button press with an active window of only 0.283 seconds, I should be rewarded well for that.
Yeah.
If I dedicate tens or even hundreds of hours studying and practicing a matchup so I can perform this trick consistently, I should be rewarded well for that. If I'm willing to repeat this arduous process against the 87 monsters that exist in this game, I should be rewarded well for that.
Yeah.
In the current state of Sunbreak, the dual blades pressing the A button once is more rewarding, more consistent, and safer than landing an EI Spirit Slash.
Yeah.
If you're going to complain that a weapon is broken or overpowered compared to everything else, you should at least know what everything else is capable of beyond the hearsay bullshit you saw on Reddit and Twitter. At the very least, you should play the weapon that you're complaining about before suggesting that it needs changing. Balancing is still important in PvE games, but they should be directed towards the things that need it. A weapon's strengths and weaknesses go beyond the immediate damage number you see on screen. You would know if you actually played them. You know, after going through all this, I think I finally realized something. Almost every weapon in these games have some really strong mechanics or moves that help you deal with different things in different ways. It's part of what gives each weapon a unique identity and makes them all fun to play. Almost. I think I'm finally able to come to terms with myself. Longsword, I don't hate you after all.
Yes.
I just hate people. And that's great, because now I can see you for all your faults and favors. You've never been the best, but you're not the worst either. You're just fine enough as you are. Most of all, though, I just enjoy playing it. As a counter machine or as a traditional beat stick, it's fun to play. And you know what? I like playing the lance too. And the insect glaive, and the sword and shield, and... I don't know about that one, but sure, fuck it. You can be cool too sometimes. Oh, what the fuck is that thing?
God, dude. Hey, W for this guy, bro. W, what's his get good? Get crunked? Yes. Hey, man, look, he brought us some really valid points, and I'm gonna get my 2 cents and we'll get out of here. I really didn't know that we came in 9th place. That really kind of threw me for a fat loop. But when he was talking about what's it called? Literally, it's a high risk, high reward. When you think about it, when you're playing, even in Rise, when you're playing in Sunbreak and you're playing against your Risen, bro, most of those attacks are one-shot attacks. Like each attack that you're countering is a one-shot attack. I think it's very glass cannon-y. You know what I mean? Like now that he's saying that, I'm like, bro, you think about it. Because if one of those things hit me, I'm cooked. That's it. I'm done. Like I'm finished. And then it maybe 2 hits. You know what I mean? So, like, bro, he was making us some valid points. I thought that this was very well articulated. Dude, Longsword Mains, hey, stand up in the chat, bro. We need to protect him. Guys, follow him, subscribe to him. This dude is amazing for making this video. I did this because I felt like this was something that will just bring a little bit more awareness to Longsword. Hopefully mitigate I'm not saying that you can't have your opinion. I'm not saying that, like, you know, some of the longsword hate isn't understandable. I got it. But as much as it's getting, in my personal opinion, I think it's outrageous. I think it's really just, it's fun. It's fun to do it. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a trend now, you know what I mean? Just to hate the longsword. And it's not even real hate anymore. It's just, ooh, everybody hates the longsword. So let me make a video about it. Let me just do it. Let me just not like it. Let me just hate countering. But bro, it's popular for a reason. Like, it's like a cool kid, but you're mad because he's cool. He is cool. You know what I mean? So anyway, I love this. I think this is dope. We need more content like this. I think this is the best way to, like, fight your argument. This is dope. Not even fight your argument, just like state an argument. It's dope. But guys, let me know in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with him? Do you disagree? Hey, as long as you're polite and as long as, bro, please, for the love of God, just formulate clear thoughts. You know what I mean? Just and be nice. You know, like, it's okay to disagree, but you don't have to, like, just be dumb about it. You know what I mean? But anyway, let me know in the comment section below. How do you guys feel about it? You agree? You disagree? Is longsword OP? You know what I mean? And if so, tell me why. Why? And refute some of these arguments. Like, some of the haters here, like, I want to know, like, longsword, I'm gonna say haters, 'cause, like, that's different. I'm gonna say people who just have problems with longsword. Like, give me good reasons, you know what I mean? And those that love it, like, bro, stand up. This is our time. Do it now. But anyway, hey man, I love you guys. It's Thanksgiving it should be Thanksgiving around this time coming, or a day before Thanksgiving. I don't know when I'm gonna release it. But anyway, if you guys like this content, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to me, bro. I'm also streaming on Twitch. I would love to see you guys there, man. So without further ado, man, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, stay zen.